Father, smith, warrior. Mother, maiden, crone. Stranger, I am hers, and she is mine.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. So I've been getting a lot of requests for new Game of Thrones Season 8. It's been kind of quiet lately, but we just got some really cool news. Wilf Scolding, the actor that plays Rhaegar Targaryen on the TV show, was just seen boasting about checking into the same Belfast hotel that the actor that plays Euron Greyjoy is staying at, right near the paint hall where they're filming all the really big King's Landing Season 8 scenes. So there's been lots of talk about the King's Landing stuff they've been filming lately, but this Rhaegar thing is brand new. So if you're finding me for the first time, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We'll be doing Season 8 bonus videos till we start to get new footage, which actually isn't that far off. They will continue to film right up into the summer, so obviously there's a bunch of big battles that they still have to film. They still have the final battle, the final episode, but for the most part, they're going to be winding down in the next couple of weeks, meaning that if they have all their principal photography, they'll have enough footage to cut together for a Comic-Con trailer this summer. So I'll address that at the end of the video too. But the cool thing, we all kind of hoped that there would be more flashbacks in Season 8. Rhaegar Targaryen showing up just casually like it's no big deal, boasting about Game of Thrones as he's checking into a notable hotel that most of the Game of Thrones actors stay at when they go to Belfast to film scenes in King's Landing, just implies that we might be getting some of that. Now, a lot of people have pointed out too that there are a number of reasons for the Game of Thrones actors to be in Belfast, but there's just so many coincidences that have to line up that it almost feels too good to be true. So let's talk about Rhaegar flashbacks during Season 8, stuff that we have not seen yet. You have to remember that most of the flashbacks the last couple of seasons have been through Bran's character as he's using his ability given to him by the Three-Eyed Raven. The last really big non-Bran flashback that we had was at the beginning of Season 5, where Cersei was flashing back to when she was a child, getting the prophecy from Maggie the Frog, and the show did its version of the Valonqar. But by that point, Bran had already made it to the Three-Eyed Raven's tree, so after that it was Bran literally going into the past using the weirwoods to see what had actually happened. Per the show's explanation, he doesn't know exactly how to control it, so he will just flash back into the past at random, sort of like having a cable subscription with infinite channels but no channel guide. So that's where Samwell comes in during Season 7, is that he's sort of like the channel guide, the Google search bar that helps Bran search for very specific things instead of just going at random. The Rhaegar flashbacks that we've had so far are all in furtherance of telling us who Jon Snow is and what his relationship to the Targaryen family is. So per their explanation at the end of Season 7 and Gilly's careful research accidentally thumbing through those books, Rhaegar annulled his marriage to Elia Martell, married Lyanna Stark, then they had baby Aegon, and Samwell and Bran realized that he has a legitimate claim to the Iron Throne. So there are just a couple of slam dunk easy flashbacks they could do with Rhaegar in furtherance of that storyline, or a couple of other storylines, just mirroring some of the action of Season 8. We know there's going to be a struggle between Jon Snow and Daenerys once they realize how related they are. Technically, she's his aunt, even though they care deeply about each other. You could say that they love each other. I don't know if that was exactly explicit in their look. They care about each other deeply. Jon will probably still want to be with her, even after finding out that they're related, but it will be one of the big conflicts early in the season. Hopefully Bran does not wait too long to drop that bomb, maybe like at the end of the first episode, after they make it to Winterfell and have all the introductions. Oh, and by the way, she's your aunt. You've totally been doing it with your aunt this whole time. Then comes the realization from the characters that Jon Snow now has a legitimate claim to the Iron Throne that is possibly more legitimate than Daenerys's. So they could always do more flashbacks that sort of clarify why Jon is legitimate and why his claim might be stronger than Daenerys's in furtherance of the drama between the two of those characters, even though Jon does not want the Iron Throne. You just have to remember that the flashbacks typically serve the plot in present day and some furtherance of that. But mirroring the action of present day, you also have the death of Rhaegar at the Battle of the Trident against Robert. So you have this big conflict, or two big conflicts technically, because you have the North versus the Night King, or the Realm versus the Night King, however you want to think about it. Then you have Jon and Daenerys' combined forces versus Cersei, which now we can say is a nice parallel for the Baratheon versus Targaryen of Robert's Rebellion, predating the show. So there have been all kinds of jokes about how Jon Snow throws himself in harm's way and has been trying to kill himself at every chance. Like he'll stay behind, like, no, you all board the dragon and get away while I stay here and give my life to you. Plot armor's too thick. He's brought back after being stabbed by the brothers of the Night's Watch. He's brought back after falling into this icy lake after almost getting taken down by the Night King. So if Jon Snow is going to fall during some big battle, that could be a mirror for Rhaegar falling at the Trident. And there's also a lot of conjecture about what Rhaegar's final words were when Robert killed him. Like he was whispering a woman's name. Now we believe it to be Lyanna because we know about their relationship in more explicit terms. But for a long time, there was a big mystery about what happened in the final moments when Rhaegar was standing off with Robert. Like, were they just fighting each other? Did Rhaegar ever try to explain to Robert what was going on and Robert didn't listen to him? The more truth we start to learn about Rhaegar and Lyanna, the more Robert starts to look like a villain. But then there's also the potential that we could get more Rhaegar flashbacks that explain why he was so obsessed with the prophecy. Because most of the flashbacks that we've gotten specific to his character just have to do with who Jon Snow is. Who is this character we've been following this whole time? He's the son of the Crown Prince of Westeros and this Stark girl that Ned refused to talk about even to his wife Catelyn. So if you're a big book reader, you know all about Rhaegar's obsession with the prophecy and how he believed that Jon would be the Song of Ice and Fire. Even though the TV show omits a lot of things from the books, I think it bears that the TV show should give you a moment that explains why Jon is so important. Not so much the relationship drama of it all, because that's what we've been getting, but the prophecy of it all that explains, big picture why he believed that this was such an important thing. Like he married Lyanna because he was in love with her. We get that. But there was also this other reason why he believed that she was important too. Because a child that they might have could be the fulfillment of a prophecy that he'd been thinking about for almost his entire life. Given everything we know about his backstory from the books, it'll just be interesting to see how the TV show decides to contextualize a lot of his decision making. That was one of the big things after we got that scene too. It's like, how come they didn't just send a raven to someone to tell everyone what was going on? There was this huge rebellion that started because of what they did. Now, that's not to say that there wouldn't have been a rebellion anyway, because a lot of the lords had grown very dissatisfied with the Mad King, but them running off together was one of the things that started the ball rolling down the hill. One of many factors that led to Robert's Rebellion. But in related news, speaking of Robert's Rebellion, I know people always want that to be one of the prequels. They've already confirmed that it's not going to be, but George R. R. Martin talked about the official release date for his Fire and Blood book. I've already done a video about that, but he did imply that some of the plot of that might be used for one of the prequel TV shows that they're developing. The weird thing too is that they have 5 that are in development right now. One of the other people that's developing one of those 5 also made this weird comment where he talked about, wouldn't it be interesting to see what's happening in the future of Game of Thrones after events right now on the TV show? So for the most part, we've thought that the successor series is going to be a prequel just because there's all this history that George R. R. Martin has written, and he did make comments that very specifically said that he wanted to help shepherd the successor series, so it's not like HBO is just going to make up whatever they want to make up and call it Game of Thrones. It's directly adapted from Martin's material that he will help supervise, so you have to keep in mind that there are 5 separate ideas that are all very different within that context, so there's still a lot of possibilities, and this Fire and Blood book that they're releasing this November, the history of the Targaryen family, really only covers about half of the Targaryen kings between Aegon the Conqueror and then Aegon III. HBO originally said that the prequel series would debut the year after the main series ended, so we just assumed that it was going to be 2020, but Martin did confirm that date. Right now we can just mark our calendars for April, May 2020 until HBO gives us some more specific information, but because of how long it takes to produce seasons of television, they will be shooting that relatively soon, so we'll have a much better idea for what it's going to look like, what the costumes were going to be. So thank you, George R. R. Martin, for confirming prequel series in 2020. So something to look forward to after the main series ends. Right now, because Comic-Con is at the end of July, it seems like they're on track to release some sort of behind-the-scenes work print footage. I wouldn't expect a really shiny teaser till the end of the year just because it takes them a while to finish those special effects, but putting teasers together for the most part isn't that hard for them to do. Like, they've been shooting for almost 6 months now, so they have a ton of footage that they could show off, so no worries. But we won't hear about more specific Game of Thrones Comic-Con news till later this summer, so don't worry, whenever they announce something, I'll do a new video about it. So he also, confirmed that there will be no Winds of Winter in 2018, but I think we already knew that. So I will say there is a new round of the DVD giveaway. We also have like a 4K Season 1 DVD that's coming out soon, so why don't we just make the giveaway for that, because that'll be dropping this summer. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. While you wait for everything, click here for more Season 8 and click here to learn more about what's going on with the Witcher TV show. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.